Happy World's Asthma Day! Oof, okay, that was not how it should have been said. Hey guys, how are we doing today? So, as you can tell, this is about asthma. And I think this is really important for me to talk about because, hey, over 3 million people get diagnosed with asthma. So, yes, it is very common and is definitely something that needs to be addressed about. I actually put timestamps down below in the description box for you to kind of follow through. So if you're just curious about a couple of things of asthma, here I am to really address that. So enjoy. So I guess let's start with an asthma attack. What is it like to have an asthma attack? That sounds kind of creepy if you want to know that, but here we go. So, asthma, the main symptoms is that you have really difficult time breathing, and this can happen from having some feelings in your chest like tightness or sharp pain or burning sensation that you can feel in your chest. You can also have rapid breathing, shortness of breath, and there can definitely be times where you can feel very anxious or stressed when having an asthma attack, which is natural, but that's just kind of the emotional components that can happen when you're having an asthma attack. Coughing, wheezing, those are other symptoms that can definitely affect you when you're having an asthma attack. So, obviously, I didn't really say everything that might happen because it's very subjective to the individual. However, these are some of the main symptoms when someone may be going through an asthma attack. Now, let's kind of go through the causes. So, what causes these asthma attacks? The causes that happen in these asthma attacks can be the following. So, number one, surprisingly, respiratory infections can actually cause asthma attacks. So, common colds can really trigger an asthma attack. But also, there's some other common ones like mold or dust or pollen, like airborne particles that can trigger your asthma attacks. It can be exercise induced. Finally, there can be some components of like a hot or cold climate that can really trigger asthma, as well as anxiety and stress. And oh, I forgot one thing. There's also coffee right here. So, coffee can actually induce asthma attacks. And just putting it out there, I love my coffee, but I will admit that I do need to regulate the amount of coffee I drink because sometimes drinking too much coffee can definitely create this an asthma attack. And so it's important for me to regulate it. And I think that a lot of people who might have asthma can agree that sometimes coffee can be a trigger. And obviously, when I speak about these causes, not everything falls under the umbrella. Like, it's not like if you have asthma, all of these have to apply. It's very subjective to the individual. But another thing I guess that I really want to talk about is how it biologically works. So now that we've kind of talked about, what is an asthma attack and how does that like appear to be, or like the symptoms basically, or the causes of asthma, how do we understand asthma in and of itself? Well, asthma basically is the narrowing of the air passages in your lungs. So what happens is that the airway passages can get very inflamed and also extra mucus forms. And so that means that your airway passages get more narrow and narrow and narrow. And because they become more narrow, what's happening is obviously you can't breathe because your airway passages are more narrow. And when it's more narrow, there's not enough air to really go in. The real point that I'm trying to say is that that's kind of the scientific part of how people with asthma have. And as gross as the mucus part may sound, it's the reality. We all have mucus in our lungs. It's just as people with asthma kind of produce extra mucus that can definitely cause a narrower lung passageway. So given that I've kind of explained just a very general perspective of what asthma may be, why is it really important to really address the importance of asthma, and what is my exigence to this? Like, why is it that important to raise awareness and even have a day dedicated to asthma, especially if, you know, spoiler alert, it's not life threatening. Yes, your life can be in danger if you actually have asthma, but it's not like once you do have asthma or you get diagnosed with asthma that you can die or something. You know what I mean? It's not like that. So, given the fact that it's common and it's treatable in a sense, once again, there's situations of it being chronic and that can last for many years or for your whole life. Really doesn't know, but with that point, why is it so important? I think the first thing that I really want to state is that I want to honor asthma patients because, to be very honest, having asthma is really, really difficult. And I really want to bring awareness towards asthma because it's not talked about as much. Really, like, show me people who are actually spreading awareness about asthma on a daily. Because, yeah, I'm not saying that asthma is totally in the dark. That's not what I'm saying. But a lot of the times, with a lot of friends that I have who have asthma, we don't talk about it over a cup of tea, which I understand, but I also think that it's really important for us to raise awareness about the situation. Spoiler alert, if it's not already known, yes, I do have asthma. And that might seem a little bit of like, okay, so what about it? I have like mildish moderate asthma, so it's not too bad. However, it really does affect my mode of being. I know I'm a little more luckier than some other people who really, really have a harder time with asthma, but just even having that taste of what it's like to have asthma is not very pretty. I really discovered my asthma. It really kind of changed a lot of how I went off with my mode of being. I really felt afraid to run, and there was a period of time where I was really afraid to like run because I was diagnosed with exercise induced asthma. But I think it's so much more than that because I thought asthma was like, okay, I just have mild asthma, but there really are times where I get it. And there was this one situation where I had to go to the emergency room because my asthma would not go away and it was very severe. And given that experience and just like the fear that I felt, um, I knew that this was sometimes gonna be really hard for me at times. And bless my mom at the time and just like my whole family, but especially my mom because she actually went there with me. She drove over there and I got checked out and everything was okay at the end, but yeah, for sure. I was like on like heavy meds and took a lot of pills just to kind of get my lungs to kind of breathe back normally. And obviously I was okay when I came home, but that doesn't rip away from that fearful experience. And even if you don't go to the emergency room, I'm not just saying this is just only for people who go through the emergency room. Like, it's so hard living with asthma. Like, sometimes if I drink way too much coffee, even, which, by the way, I know it's a little contradictory that I have a cup of coffee here, but, and just taking sometimes a sip of those or really hot and cold days, like learning my triggers as I go, which is terrible. You want to know your triggers and avoid that, but you learn as you go, which I feel like not a lot of people really address when they have asthma. It's tough because there were nights where I just could not sleep at all, and sometimes my inhaler was taking a while to kick in, and I wasn't able to lay down. Like, I was super tired at days, and I still wasn't able to properly rest, properly breathe, and it gets really tiring. And it's such a passionate subject for me because this really does affect people's lives. And just because it may not be as life threatening, that does not mean that it's just nothing. Given that, I also want to say the second reason why that really fueled me to just post this in the first place. It's scary for me to talk about my story But I think that this second reason has really allowed me to speak my truth, and that is that the current climate of the situation needs more awareness about asthma. As we know, we are kind of going through a lot because of a certain virus, and people who have asthma are under one of the people who really need to take care of themselves during this time. You see these people who have different immune diseases, different respiratory diseases, and age groups, and diabetes, and all of these different conditions. And I'm never going to negate others by saying, oh, asthma is more important. That's not what I'm saying. But I definitely do want to raise awareness that there is so much more that we need to understand. And this is one of the branches, because the scariest part is whether you have asthma at age 21 or age 5. Yes, maybe your immune system at age 21 is, like strong. But once you you know, get sick, that's when things get rough, and you're going to be under that category where you need special attention regardless of any age. It's not discriminatory towards age. And that just makes it so much harder, because I really need to take care of like my health, and so does all my fellow peers of any conditions who fall under that category. And this is just so important to raise awareness of, because all of us go through this, and this is not just affecting us just through just our own conditions. This is actually now being applied to real world. And because it's now being applied to the real world, I think that is just my main mode of, inspiration. And I hope this video can really allow you to understand how asthma is like, as well as understanding how hard it may be for people, and to really honor those people who have asthma. I inspire everyone to actually share this video or comment down below people that you honestly think are super strong who go through asthma, and maybe share this video and share your comment to the person that you kind of said, hey, you're awesome. And we can kind of create this community where we can really talk about asthma. I'm obviously, oh my gosh, Christine, I need to speak properly, but I'm wearing gray, and it's for a reason, because that's the color of World's Asthma Day. So with that being said, I hope that all of us can really honor and be respectful of the situation, regardless if all of us are going through something rough. And I think it's especially important to understand that, we're all in this together, but we also need to understand that, we need to build more awareness of people's experiences that are outside our own. And I guess I'm just sharing just a little glimpse of kind of great issues that are happening during this time. That being said, I'm going to take my cup of coffee, edit this video, and all of that jazz. So make sure to comment down below, subscribe, all that good stuff, because I am going to be posting more passion projects out there to raise more awareness and issues and all that jazz. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace out, and I'm going to continue drinking my coffee. All right, signing off.